navigating the randomness.
I'm Jess.
I'm Connie.
And today we are back for another Who Knows What Wednesday.
Yes, before we get too deep into things, just a reminder, you can find us on all of our social media. They are linked in the description below. You should very much like, subscribe, follow, and hit the notification bell so you can be alerted about all of our fun Who Knows What Wednesdays, as well as our Saturday book reviews. And just last Saturday for you guys, we did a reaction to the Eclipse movie, which was something. So if you want to check that out, that is a YouTube exclusive, that movie reaction. It is on our YouTube playlist where you can check out our other reactions to Twilight, New Moon, Eclipse, books, and movies.
Yes.
Oh, they're starting to blur together.
It's all a blur.
It's a blur that
not a good blur.
It's not a good, and before you start thinking that we're diehard Twilight fans, and I'm gonna say it, Twihards, we're not.
So
we're not. Just see those episodes. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're definitely not.
No, but you're here for murder, gore, and death. So welcome. On that note, trigger warnings.
Trigger warnings for today. We have typical murder, but we have assault of children, and adults, rape of children and adults, as well as pornography and child pornography, and that part is very, very brief.
Oh, okay. Well,
goody.
This sounds like it'll be a story.
It's a story.
Wait, hold on. The last time we said it's a story was Dyatlov Pass. Is that
not
gonna
that
apply?
kind of story?
Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm like, the amount of confusion that I still have surrounding the entirety of that.
Nope, not. This one isn't my typical one, in a sense of it's not a mystery.
Is it a true crime?
It is true crime.
Ah.
Have you heard of the dating game killer?
No, but that sounds like a Netflix special.
Netflix. Funny you say that. Netflix did just release a movie about this guy, and Anna Kendrick was in it.
Oh. Do I know this? No. I think
name?
I saw a preview, but I don't know what it is.
Okay. All right. Well, we're talking about, and I don't remember how to pronounce his last name, so sorry, but also he murdered people, so not that sorry. Rodney Alcala, Alcala, is our dating game killer.
I don't know if I know too much about this. Okay.
So he was born on August 23rd, 1943 in San Antonio, Texas. When he was young, his family moved to Mexico, but after his father abandoned them, his mother relocated the family to Los Angeles, California. Rodney grew up in East Los Angeles and attended high school there. In 1961, at the age of 17, he joined the U.S. Army and he was trained as a clerk. However, in 1964, he was discharged after being diagnosed with antisocial personality disorder.
I don't have a red flag on me at this exact moment, but thank you.
Nice. Oh yeah, that's my bad.
It's like caught. Oh, there we go. Okay. Red flag on the red flag. What is happening?
Probably one piece of string.
There we go. Okay. I have a red flag. Red flag on that.
Yeah.
If the military is diagnosing you with that,
not a great start.
I'm just going to keep this on hand. Something tells me it won't go away.
Yeah, that's fair. All right. So after he left the military, he enrolled in UCLA School of Fine Arts, where he developed an interest in photography.
Oh, I have seen too many Criminal Minds and other things. I feel like I know where this is going.
I'm sure you do. Let's just say, a lot of our episodes, we really like to give a nice story to start out.
Do we not even have that?
No, not today. So sorry if that's what you're into. We're getting deep into it right away here. So on September 25th, 1968, Rodney is 25 at this point, by the way. Rodney approached an 8-year-old named Tolly, last name Shapiro, Shaprio. Shapiro. He asked if she needed a ride.
Oh, no.
Initially, Tolly refused, but after Rodney told her that he knew her parents, she got into his car.
This is probably where the cautionary tale came from, huh?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember when we grew up, it was like, if someone says they know your parents, like have like
A code
word with your parents to tell their friends. So like if that word ever happened, be like, oh, what's the word? And it has to be like the most random word, but like.
You know what's interesting is you know how I grew up, and for just a very generic background, my parents were involved in legal and public relations involving like campaigns about sex abuse and drugs and all that stuff. So like I grew up knowing a lot more than your average child did about the bad things in the world. We didn't have a code word.
Oh. I don't remember the code word, but I remember having a code word. I think it was bananas, to be honest.
That's hilarious because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I feel like your code word would be bananas.
I think it would, yeah. Because I hated bananas. And so, like, everyone that knows me knows that I hate bananas. And so.
She really does.
Ugh. So, you know, like, it's perfect code word.
It is a good. Wow. I am still so shocked that we didn't.
I'm surprised you didn't, knowing your parents.
They had contingencies for everything.
Yeah.
Which explains a lot about who I am as a person now. But no, we didn't. I think their contingency, though, was like, we will always let you know, or like, we'll call the school. We will say something if someone else is coming to pick you up. But like, if you don't know who it is, because there was such a small number of people that would ever, you know, be coming to pick me and my sisters up.
Right.
So like at that point, if they were, it would have been like my second mom. I wouldn't have questioned it.
Rodney had told Tolly that he wanted to show her a picture in his apartment. And so she followed him. A motorist passing named Donald called police, though, when he saw Rodney lure Tolly into his apartment.
He recognized red flags. Good job, Donald.
He did. When police arrived, Tolly was still alive, but she was in a pool of her own blood. She had been raped and beaten with a steel bar.
Oh my God. She was 8?
She was 8.
Ugh.
Just makes you sick.
8 years old? That's a baby.
Yeah. It's a baby.
That's you.
Oh, and Rodney was gone.
Yeah, they're never caught. Yeah, not right away at least.
Tolly was in a coma for 32 days and was in recovery for months. If this was a medically induced coma or not, I don't know.
That's what I was.
I couldn't find anything saying one way or another. Just said that she was in a coma for 32 days.
I don't have enough medical knowledge, but it's either the extent of her injuries warranted that, which, oh my God, or it was because of the injuries, which is also, oh my, there is no, coma's never good. If that's where you're at, just know bad things happen to get you there.
Yep. So to avoid his arrest warrant, Rodney fled and enrolled at NYU under the name John Berger, Berger.
Now, that name I recognize.
Oh.
But I don't remember exactly why, but I know I've read it in connection with a case file.
Well, things might start connecting more dots because, of course, he wasn't quiet when he was in New York.
They never stop.
No. On June 12th, 1971, so he's 28. I kept putting the little parentheses of his age so we can follow. Cornelia Criley, age 23, was found raped and murdered in her apartment. she had been strangled with her nylon socks.
I feel like I do remember hearing that.
Cornelia was a flight attendant and is believed that she met Rodney when she moved into her new apartment, and they believe that she had accepted his help in moving furniture.
That terrifies me.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's such a realistic... I mean, obviously, these are all real situations, but,
Right.
like, that's one today where I don't know if I would have thought twice in the times that I was moving. If I was, like, struggling with something and someone walking by would have been like, do you need a hand? I maybe would have said yes.
Oh, I say no to everybody. No, go away. Leave me alone.
I'm thinking, like, the areas that I was moving was, like, around the area I was in college.
I guess, yeah.
But, like, now I'd be like, nope.
Nope, I'm good. By the way, that murder was solved in 2011. It took until 2011 to solve that. In 1971, Rodney started a job at New Hampshire Arts Camp as a counselor for children using his alias name. Oh, yeah.
It's like the last person that should be a counselor.
In 1971, Rodney had been placed on the FBI's most wanted fugitives list for Talia.
Yeah.
A few months had passed, and some campers noticed the FBI posters at the post office. Rodney was then arrested and brought back to California.
Good.
Yep.
Good. See, the post office is a wonderful place.
So, this is kind of like bittersweet. More bitter. By the time Rodney was brought back, Talia's parents had relocated their entire family to Mexico and refused to let Talia return to testify.
Can you blame them?
No, but without her there, he was convicted of child molestation and sentenced to 3 years.
They didn't... Okay, you know what? I have not taken the class on court proceedings and evidence yet. That being said, what? But did she not give a statement?
I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to... Okay.
Yeah.
That's the legal portion of my brain trying to figure it out, but I don't have the information yet to figure it out. But something in there is...
Not great.
It's...
Not full.
Not...
Missing
question.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, because there are ways around that now because of stuff like that.
Yeah, this also happened in the 70s. Early 70s.
Yeah, and this is California in the 70s, so... Yeah, that was serial killer heaven back then.
Oh, yeah. Rodney was paroled in 1974, and he was in prison for 34 months total.
Dang,
so,
full 3 years.
Not even 2 months go by after his release, and he was arrested again for assaulting 13-year-old Julie, who had accepted a ride to school from him. Rodney was paroled again after serving 2 years and was released in 1977 and was registered as a sex offender.
Only then?
Only then. After his release, his parole officer allowed Rodney, a repeat offender and a flight risk, to travel to New York City.
What?
New York police believe that Rodney was responsible for the death of Jane Hoover, a 23-year-old, because her planner had an appointment with a John Berger that day.
And that was the flight attendant that he had.
That was his alias name that he was using.
Yep, sorry, the Jane, no, the woman who was killed.
No, this is a different one.
Oh, so more than one.
Yep, more than one. Yep. Let me go up. I believe so.
So
yeah, he killed. The first one was Cornelia.
Cornelia, there we go.
Yep.
So, tracking numbers wise, he brutally assaulted an 8-year-old and almost killed her.
Mm-hmm.
Assaulted a 13-year-old. Did he beat her too?
It just says
Okay.
sexual assault.
Murdered a 23-year-old after beating and assaulting her, and then murdered another 23-year-old after beating and assaulting her?
Supposedly murdered. They believe, but that's has not been confirmed.
Got it.
But New York police believe that Rodney was responsible for her death because
Of the
in
alias.
the planner it had the appointment with the alias.
Gotcha.
Yep. In 1977, Rodney briefly worked at the Los Angeles Times as a typesetter and interviewed the task force on the Hillside Strangler. Rodney had been ruled out as the Strangler because he had been arrested for a brief sentence during the time for marijuana possession. Yeah.
I don't even. But he's in.
During this time period, Rodney convinced hundreds of young people that he was a professional photographer and would add their photos to his portfolio. These photos were of, I should have said pornography. Child pornography was a.
Yeah, I was just about to say, and also I've definitely seen Criminal Minds episodes that were inspired by this.
We're gonna have to redo the trigger warning.
Yeah.
Remind me about that. So these photos were of naked young people and even teenage boys. When Rodney was 35, so in 1977, he appeared on a popular show called The Dating Game. This show first premiered in 1965, and in the show there were 3 eligible bachelors who were behind a wall, and a young lady would ask a series of questions to each potential suitor. At the end of the show, she would pick her favorite to take on a date.
I remember this preview. Yep. Of Netflix.
Yep. The host introduced Rodney as being a successful photographer and a skydiver. One of the questions Rodney was asked was, quote, "I'm serving you for dinner. What are you called and what do you look like?" End quote. Rodney responded, "I'm called the banana and I look good." Cheryl Bradshaw, the female asking the questions, asked him to be more descriptive, and Rodney answered, quote, "Peel me," end quote. Now, Cheryl did select Rodney to be that episode's luckiest bachelor and were given tennis lessons, but they never made it to the date. After taping, Cheryl called off her plans with Rodney because she was getting weird vibes and wasn't comfortable with him.
Yeah.
I would not pick anybody that answered a question like that. Like, I know it's supposed to be like this raunchy, like, game show. But if anybody ever said that to me, no. You're an
I want to know about that question. Like, the heck kind of a question is that?
You can actually go on YouTube and watch the full episode. I did. It's a weird show.
70s. You know, I find that whole premise weird though, because there's so much that you can get from somebody when you see them in person, and like any micro expressions, that's just any. I would be way too uncomfortable to go on a date with someone that I had absolutely no like physical feedback from. Because you can say a lot of nice stuff online and seem great when you have time to edit.
Mm-hmm. But I'm glad she
trust your vibes.
Trusted her gut, yeah.
Trust your instinct. It's there for a reason.
Exactly. On December 16th, 1977, Georgia Wickstead, a nurse, was reported missing when she didn't report in for work. Police arrived at her apartment and found forced entry. In the apartment, she was dead and had been sexually assaulted and strangled with her nylons. Her skull was bashed in.
Oh, he's combining elements now. Don't. Love that. Don't love it.
Yep. DNA evidence was later used on a handprint that was found at the scene, and they were able to use this to convict Rodney.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what, his 4th arrest?
I can't keep track anymore.
Oh,
he's busy. Not good.
Nope.
Nope, really not good.
No. It'd be fine if he wanted to stay home and be a hermit.
Right? On June 24th, 1978, Charlotte Lamb, a legal secretary, was found dead in the laundry room of her apartment complex. She had been sexually assaulted, beaten, and strangled with a shoelace. Again, DNA evidence was later used and matched Rodney.
So he's got his pattern now.
He does. On February 14th, 1979, Rodney picked up a 15-year-old named Monique Hoyt who was hitchhiking. He drove her to his apartment and raped her. He then brought her to a secluded area in Joshua Tree and took photos of her in her underwear and photos of him raping her.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel like I vaguely remember hearing about this in a... Yep.
He's something. So he bound and gagged her, raped her again, and then bludgeoned her with a rock to the head. Monique escaped and filed a police report. Rodney was arrested for this.
I'm sensing a but.
But his mother posted his bail of $10,000.
Why was he... I haven't taken evidence courses or the procedural courses to have the answers to this, but what I want to know is why he was given a bail instead of bail denied. Because if you look at his history, which they should have in the system, again, it's the 70s, I don't know.
I don't think he is chronologically. It was really hard to chronologically figure out where everything was, to be very honest. But it doesn't sound like he's been convicted so far of any of the deaths.
So it's only
it's only. Yeah, so we don't have those murders that he's been convicted of yet because it said that they used DNA testing to convict him.
Which
later.
wasn't until, the 90s.
The 90s. So that's my assumption, is that he hasn't been convicted of any of that yet.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a legal reason. I'm sure there is a legal reason, but morally, I'm like, I have questions.
Yeah. On June 13th, 1979, Jill Panatau, Paranteau?
Parento?
I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't know.
Sorry.
A 21-year-old had left work early to go to a baseball game. Like Georgia, she did not return to work the next day, and police also found signs of forced entry at her apartment. So, unfortunately, Jill was also found dead. She had been sexually assaulted, beaten, and strangled. The police found that the killer escaped through a window and had cut himself.
Good.
So he left blood behind.
Good evidence.
Yep. That blood was later used to be identified to belonging to Rodney. On June 20th, 1976, 12-year-old Robin Samsoe, Samsoe, disappeared between leaving her home and biking to her ballet class.
You said she was 11?
12.
12.
She was found 12 days later, dumped in the Angeles National Forest. She had been beaten, raped, and stabbed with a knife. All of these victims' bodies have had something in common, though. They were all found in poses, specific poses, and I'm sure your minds went there too. And in at least one of these victims, he had removed a lampshade in the room to increase the brightness of the room. So he's showing off.
He's staging and...
Yep. Finally, July 1979, Rodney was arrested and held without bail. He was found guilty for Robin's murder in May 1980 and was sentenced to death a month later.
That was quick. Wow.
Really quick.
Yeah.
The verdict was overturned by the California Supreme Court in 1984. Reason being that the jurors weren't given the knowledge of his prior criminal record. I don't know how that works.
I mean, if jury instructions were incorrect, or let me rephrase, if jury instructions are later reviewed and deemed to be misleading or missing critical information that could have changed the outcome of sentencing, I can see that as being used to overturn a previous sentence.
I feel like his prior charges wouldn't have.
I would need to know a lot more both legally and about the specifics there, because my hearing of that is, even if that information was there, the sentence that was given is like highest, to my understanding, highest sentence.
Right.
So I'm not sure. There's got to be something procedural based there, which California, whoo! I don't know California laws, but I have had to deal with a very minute portion of California insurance laws, and oh my God.
About a mile long, like a CVS receipt.
The insurance company that I worked for, even though it's one national company, there's an entire department dedicated solely to California.
That says a lot.
Yes.
Okay, so who knows what really, it could have been almost anything, it sounds like.
Sounds like it, but it sounds, if I had to take a guess, procedural based, but
okay. So he was tried again and again sentenced to death.
Oh, okay. So I'm like, yeah, as I was saying, I don't think it's really gonna change.
Yeah. In 2001, a district court judge granted the petition to overturn his second conviction and was upheld in 2003 by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. While preparing for his third trial in 2003, investigators found that Rodney's DNA matched the evidence from 2 unsolved cases in LA, as well as the deaths of Jill Barkholm, Georgia Wickstead, Charlotte Lamb, and Jill, I can't say her name, Parentau?
Yeah.
Between the second and third trials, Rodney wrote and self-published a book, You, the Jury. That's the title. In the book, he denies any involvement in Robin's death and even suggested a suspect. He also filed lawsuits against the California penal system for a slip and fall incident and a second for being denied a low-fat diet. In 2003, prosecution tried to combine charges of Robin's murder with the additional charges of the 4 identified victims. Rodney's team argued this, saying that it would be difficult for the jurors to convict beyond a reasonable doubt to charges once they heard about all of them. In 2006, the California Supreme Court ruled in favor of the prosecution. In February 2010, Rodney was facing trial for all 5 murders. Rodney decided to represent himself for the third trial and spent hours questioning and answering himself.
Technically, as pro se, meaning representing yourself, I mean, you do have depositions and testimonies.
Yeah.
I have questions.
He would address himself as, quote, Mr. Alcala, end quote, in a deeper voice than his normal voice. In parts of his defense, he played a clip of him on the dating game showing that he had earrings. He pointed this out because police had found an earring in one of the storage lockers. He's pointing out that he has earrings, so it's not weird that he has an earring in his locker. The police were saying that it was a victim's earring.
But you wouldn't. Why would you need to show a clip of the dating show? You can just show. Well, I
That
mean,
you
for
have.
timing, yeah, you can be like, these are healed. Or, I mean, okay, maybe I don't know. I'm sure there's logic somewhere.
Be like, I have earrings. Who's to say that one in my locker isn't mine? It is my locker. I do have earrings.
That is, I mean, that's a logical defense. Yeah. There needs to be some darn good proof that it wasn't his earring, or more specifically, what would be more smoking gun of it all was that it was the victim's earring.
Mm-hmm. So this may have helped with one of the victims, but it still left the other 4. He claimed that he couldn't remember killing them, and in his closing argument, he played the song Alice's Restaurant. So I had never heard of Alice's Restaurant before, so I asked ChatGPT to tell me what Alice's Restaurant was about. And it says Alice's Restaurant is a comedic song by Arlo Guthrie released in 1967. The song is commentary on the absurdity of bureaucracy, the Vietnam War draft, and the counterculture movement of the 60s. It tells the story of a man, Guthrie, who, after being arrested for littering, tries to avoid being drafted into the military by using the legal loophole of being mentally unfit due to his arrest records. The song begins with a detailed recounting of an incident where the narrator and his friend decide to dump trash at Alice's restaurant, leading to his arrest. He uses this seemingly minor infraction to tell a larger story about the irony and absurdity of the draft process and how, in the end, it becomes a way of dodging responsibility and fighting a war they don't believe in. And this song is apparently over 18 minutes long.
And that's in.
We're trying to make sense of something that's probably not.
Yeah. No, I feel bad for the court stenographer in that case, trying to, dictate all this, just being like, WTF?
That's what I would put. That counts for all of it.
The vibes are off. Guilty AF. Like
that one.
That's decisions were made, choices were made.
Yeah. Not even 2 days later, the jury convicted him on all 5 charges of first-degree murder. During the penalty phase of the trial, Rodney's team had a psychiatrist testify that he may have borderline personality disorder. The prosecution argued that Rodney was a sexual predator who knew the difference between right and wrong. In March 2010, for the 3rd time, Rodney was sentenced to death. Following this, New York announced that they wouldn't pursue any further charges on Rodney because of his status on death row. In January 2011, Manhattan grand jury indicted him for the murders of Cornelia and Jane. In June 2012, Rodney pleaded to not guilty initially, but in December that year, he changed his pleas to guilty because he wanted to return to California to appeal his death sentence.
But it was in New. So I don't know enough about the laws to understand that, but okay.
Yeah, I don't know. In January 2013, he was sentenced to an additional 25 years to life in prison. March 2010, Huntington Beach, California, and New York City PD released 120 of Rodney's photos to help identify people to see if there were any additional victims. Supposedly around
I gotta see a picture of this guy.
900 photos couldn't be made public because they were too explicit. Within the first few weeks, 21 women came forward and identified themselves, and at least 6 families identified loved ones who had disappeared years ago. None of the photos released linked to a missing person or unsolved case until 2013. Rodney is still the person of interest in several cold cases in New York, Seattle, California, New Hampshire, and Arizona. Rodney died on July 24th, 2021 at age 77 of a heart attack. There were 8 confirmed victims and over 130 possible victims.
Gee.
This is Rodney.
I know, I just saw that mugshot. And you know, he kind of bears a resemblance to the Night Stalker, who was active in California, I believe, around at the same time. Wow.
Yeah, so that's what I got on the dating game killer.
I'm seeing clips of him on the dating game.
Yeah. He's a weird dude.
Yeah, that.
Just his answers were so. I mean, like, I get it. You're on that show. But, like, even the other guy's answers weren't, like, it's not like he was overly charismatic or anything.
No,
Oh, yeah.
It's something in the eyes.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of serial killers or serial rapists, when you look at pictures of them, it's, I don't even know how to describe it. I wish I had the words to say this.
Yeah.
It's not just the eyes, the windows to the soul, but it's even the area around the eyes. Something about it just feels very predatory.
Well, it fits.
Yes, it does, but that's making me nervous. Now I'm gonna be watching everybody, and I'm gonna be like, "Do you have? Do you have? Do you have? Do you have?"
Yeah, so that's Rodney. Any final thoughts on the dating game killer?
I mean, I don't.
Awful.
Awful. Yes. Any of our stories that have been, every California story that we have had, what is happening? It's always, I mean, there's depravity in pretty much every one of these Who Knows What Wednesdays that are true crime, but like, what?
Yeah, he's something.
Again, we've said it in other episodes, let's say it again. When I hear these things, it just reinforces my personal belief that I'm like, I believe that there has to be a heaven and that there is something waiting, greater power, and it just brings me a little bit of comfort to know that the inverse must also exist if heaven exists. So I can only hope that justice or karma is served.
Yep. I agree with you.
That's not up to me to dish out. No. What do you? I want to know what his mother's reaction was, like after posting the bail, and I just.
If my child was arrested for something like that, I'd leave him in until I know what way is what.
Yeah, because I feel like, and I pray to God we're never in these situations.
No,
but like if there's ever an accusation lobbed at one of our children, I feel like we should, in theory, and again, psychopaths can hide things, and again, praying to God we never have psychopathic children. Smart asses, yes, but psychopathic, no.
Please no.
But like, I feel like when you hear those things, it like clicks things into place for you. And you'd be like, oh, okay, there's an assault charge against my son. I'm thinking, like, he has been really aggressive, and like there's been issues, and I've been worried about him in the past, and oh God, I'm gonna talk to him, but I'm kind of worried. Versus like if an accusation comes at your son of him forcing himself on a girl, and that your son is very respectable, he has been raised and fully believes in that you do not force yourself on anyone else, respect each other's privacy and space, and then you hear that accusation and be like, absolutely the hell not, like what's going on, and like vice versa. I'm saying son in this case just because
That's how
mother and son
yep.
is how this
In
case
this case
is playing out. But like, I just want to know where she's sitting.
I don't know.
I don't. Not that she could have prevented. I'm not saying that. I don't know. I have so many questions on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just figured we should cover it since it's now a Netflix movie, which I've never watched.
To be honest, I don't think I'm gonna.
I don't either. Believe it or not, despite us having kind of a true crime podcast here, I don't watch horror movies.
You used to.
I used to. I don't do well with them anymore. I'll listen to the occasional like morbid podcast episode, but like I'm not into a lot of that, which is probably why I lean towards the mystery stuff.
Yeah, I was just thinking, since this podcast, which we've now been filming for over a year, we haven't been released for over a year, but filming for over a year, I definitely have noticed that I listen to a lot less true crime, but mysteries I listen, like Dark History with Bailey Sarian. I listen to that all the time. That is my put on when I need to get the house clean and do stuff. Like, love it. But her Murder Makeup Mystery Mondays, I just haven't watched in a while.
It's like I get my fill with it because we go deep into details and everything, and it's like I got my fill. I don't need it.
In between that, and then in between my readings for class, I get to a point where like we haven't gotten any murder cases yet.
Yeah.
I don't envision that happening this year with the course load that I have.
No, but it'll come eventually.
It will. But I'm like, every now and then I'm like, I'm okay not deep diving as much into this, because when I'm researching for this podcast, it is so much like me doing my homework for class.
Yep.
So it's like, oh, it's not even a break.
Nope. It's just, and another one.
And then the problem is when I start, you should see the drafts of my research now, because I'll start going into the procedural portion of it. And I'm like, wait.
They don't care about this.
They don't care about the summary judgment of this thing. They scrap all that. I'm applying my knowledge at least.
There is that.
Well, any final thoughts from you on this episode other than, oh, what?
No.
Yeah.
No, I don't normally have these episodes of the straightforward ones, or I haven't recently, so I'm like, We're normally talking about theories at this point. I'm like, I feel like I'm missing something, but no, we're just filling the gap of the theories. There aren't any theories.
No, we got it on this one.
Yeah.
Huh. But if you guys ever want to discuss theories with us, we did just have our first fan email sent to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I don't want to mispronounce her name.
I don't remember. I have to go in.
She didn't give us permission to share, so we won't. But thank you so much, honey. I'm just going to say Little Miss Mexico because you said you're from Mexico. So thank you, Miss Mexico.
Thank you. It made our day.
It did. I was so excited. I started squealing. It was cool.
Mitch was talking to me and I was like checking my emails. And I'm like, oh, I should probably just every once a week I'll go in and check our podcast email. I was like, there's something in it. Oh my gosh, there's something in it.
It was really cool. We do look at your guys' comments. We do love that Little Miss Mexico emailed us. So we'd be always happy to chat with you. from episode suggestions to what you loved about the episodes. If there's something you didn't love about the episodes, please say it kindly. But we're always happy to chat with you again in comments or the email, which is linked in the description. So
yes,
let us know if you have suggestions. We're happy to chat.
Yes. Well, until next week for another Who Knows What Wednesday, or Saturday for book reactions, we will see you then.
Adios.
Bye.
Oh, I still love that email.
I
so
do
sweet.
too. It made my day.
Thank you, Miss Mexico.
Thank you.